That's fine.
It's you.
All right, Jeremy, are we ready?
Ryan.
Yeah, so
Yates.
we're recording live streaming.
No, thank you.
So go ahead.
All right, Sandy.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Bylaws Committee meeting, and it's Tuesday, June 24th, and the time is 6:23 p.m. I'm really going to forego the statement. You could read it quietly, and then I will allow everyone to introduce themselves. All right.
All right.
You're with, okay.
I'm Joanne Rubino, co-chair.
Veronica Castro, committee member.
Brian Barthel, committee member.
Right, Dier is excused. All right, so the meeting will begin. Review of the minute meetings, we don't really have any from last time available. All right, now we're going to look at the proposed amendment changes. The first one,
There was an issue here, but there's attendance. What, we have that attendance at the meeting, just to mention.
oh yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, well, we're signing in.
I mean, I don't know, the reason that attendance is on here is to remind people that they must attend.
Jeremy, do
or-
we have anything under the attendance
Yeah.
flag?
Yeah, that's a good question, Joanne.
All right, let me share my screen real quick. Hold on.
Thank you.
All right, everybody see my screen?
Now you can, yeah.
Go to minutes. So June is now, so that's obviously it hasn't happened yet, but let's look at May. All right, so there is an error here. I can see it already. So it says 3 people present, but there are actually 4 people present. So I gotta modify that.
Okay.
But everything else should check out, right?
Who is the fourth?
The 4 of us,
Was
with
the
Pierre
4?
being
Dier was on
Remote.
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 Yeah, so but there should be 4 people in person and 5 total for May. Right?
Right.
All right.
All right, so I just corrected that. So we'll republish that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Killing trees. All right, so now the first thing we're going to look at then will be the proposed amendment to Article 5, Section 1. All right, and those were changes to the committees.
And I think
All right.
the
Right.
motion would be
Well,
to combine.
well, the first motion is to eliminate disciplinary from.
If you really want one, you can have one here.
All right, so then I'll take back and get out of your way.
Well, we asked you if you want, okay.
No, I told him no.
Oh, okay,
Because she thinks she's funny.
all right. So,
5.
do we all agree to eliminate the word disciplinary from the ethics?
Okay, we have to make a motion.
I make a
I think
motion.
that's not what it is.
No?
It's bylaws, it's a proposal to make it bylaws and ethics.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I didn't see the end.
But it's
Okay.
also to get rid of that word disciplinary.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna eliminate disciplinary,
Right.
but I propose to keep bylaws as a non-standing committee,
But that's a different issue.
but that's a different issue.
Right. So we have to make the motion for bylaws. If we
Right.
want bylaws and ethics to be merged.
All right,
The ethics committee has already discussed it and agreed that it should be combined. So it's now just up to our committee to discuss and determine.
I would, for me, I prefer not to combine it and remain a non-standing committee. And I would also think that the ethics should be, in it by itself, a non-standing committee. Joanne, you have any?
I agree. I agree with Sandy. I think bylaws and ethics, I don't think they should be combined. That's my opinion. I think, that they're similar, I suppose, but I don't want to be for myself personally, I don't want to be in that position of an ethics committee. So that's my personal opinion.
All right, Ryan?
I like the combination. They both have the aspect of they really only need to meet when there's something to discuss. So even though it's a standing committees and the other parts of the bylaws aren't required to meet every month. So I don't think that the distinction between standing and non-standing is really all that
That is true.
important. And like you said, Joanne, I mean, I understand the reticence to be part of the ethics, but I do think that they serve a similar function and that they're looking at the function of the board as a whole. And I think there's a good overlap there. I think that
Where do
it
you
would
see
serve
the overlap?
not necessarily in content area, but in the idea of them. So bylaws is about the governance structure and ethics is about how that governance structure is followed.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Ryan that I think that bylaws and ethics would make a good combination. I've said it before to you, Sandy. Bylaws, we look at the bylaws all the time. We're the best ones, in my opinion, to be able to determine if someone has actually violated the bylaws because we review the bylaws all the time. So, I mean, to me, it makes sense that we would be combined.
It's actually a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
I'm just,
We're not,
I'm
I mean, just so you
uncomfortable.
know, ethics, Jeanette, who's the interim chair for
Uh-huh.
ethics. The reason why we're taking out disciplinary is because we're not here to discipline each other.
right.
right.
So we're here to review and to try and resolve issues, but what kind of discipline are we gonna be dishing out, really?
We really
Discipline is
can't.
more along BP's office line. If
Right.
we feel something is that egregious, we could forward it up to the BP's office for their action.
And
But-
to try and all be better.
Right, exactly.
So in other
Right.
words, like now, the way the ethics was running is that, somebody would break an ethical thing. We would determine whether he or she did or not. And then we would say, like, almost like put a punishment in there, like. you
But
know,
now we
So
can't.
now we won't do that. So
We
that-
make
that's what I was
recommendations.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, we
with.
weren't putting a punishment. I don't think anyone ever really got punished except to
well,
say that
Yeah,
they would have to take training, but it went across the whole board. If I remember correctly, it
Yeah.
was training was necessary for the full board.
Right,
Right.
at the meeting last night, they, that's why they wanted to eliminate the word disciplinary,
Yeah.
because that is not their function. And then people brought up the idea of, well, how do we resolve certain problems? And some people were thinking of conflict resolution or something along those lines to discuss
Mhm.
the problem.
Right, so it's not a matter of how we're gonna discipline someone per se, like you're off the board or you're suspended for whatever amount of time. That's
We're not
not
gonna do
what
that.
we're gonna be doing,
Okay.
okay?
All right. Well, that's.
Jeremy has his hand up. Sandy, do you want?
Yeah, Jeremy, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know, maybe what I was gonna ask or suggest is irrelevant. I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, if you didn't like the idea of it being a standing committee, or you want to keep it a non-standing, would it make sense to make ethics non-standing as well? But
Well,
it sounds like it doesn't, based on your discussion, it doesn't really matter, right?
Well,
I mean,
Call it when it's
the difference between non-standing and standing committee is for a set purpose. And yeah, technically, yeah, non-standing shouldn't meet unless it has a bylaw proposal or whatever. But whatever, yeah, I mean, again, I think in some ways my question or suggestion is moot.
But the other question, Jeremy, is suppose there is nothing to be discussed or whatever,
Then we don't have to.
then we don't have to meet at all.
but wait.
Yeah,
so
the bylaws already allow for you not to meet unless you need to or want to,
Okay, so.
as a
so we
standing
have
committee.
two different things. We have bylaws and ethics, but we're gonna have one, committee chair or two committee chairs?
No, it has to be one.
It
One
would be
committee-
one committee chair.
one
It's gonna
committee
be one
chair.
committee.
One committee, okay, okay, all right, let me.
And then September's coming up, so
Never
the
been to-
committee could vote for a chair then.
Right,
So,
We're
Right, so
required to now, right?
suppose there's nothing for
Committee.
bylaws, but there's from ethics, everybody would still meet because.
right, because it's
Yeah,
still one
okay.
committee.
All right, that's all right.
right. But how many people are on the ethics committee?
Right now, there's 4, Jeremy?
Yeah, 4.
So there's 4 and there's 5, so there will be 9 altogether.
9?
Well,
Oh,
wait,
right, it
joint,
would be-
yes, it
yeah,
would be
yeah.
9, yeah.
So anybody, we should take a vote?
I mean, that's if everybody wants to stay on the committee.
Can I, I'm
Everyone.
sorry, I'm like just jumping in here. What part of my, sorry.
No,
We
we
were
were just
discussing-
discussing bylaws and ethics becoming one committee.
Got it. I'm in favor of that for sure.
I was just saying I was uncomfortable with the disciplinary part of it, being part of that with my fellow community board members, but we're not going to be doing disciplinary. We're going to just be reviewing if there's an ethical breach, right?
Right,
Is that?
Right,
So
like
we're
I
good.
think, I think the idea is to, kind of have the 2 committees become one. And it's not a committee that's meant to discipline, penalize, I think it's more about holding people accountable, which can be done without necessarily being punitive. And again, if the 2 committees combine, then there's room to reimagine it in a way that works best for the board and the community.
Okay.
so it's technical, even if we do it, it could become a work in progress in some ways.
Well, it's
To
a
really
new
define.
concept. It's a new
Right.
concept, so we're gonna have
Yeah.
to work through
Yeah,
all the little details. So,
all right, so shall we make a motion?
The motions, after the gallery session it's listed here, we would do the motions. So we
Oh,
talk about
okay,
it now,
so
then
we'll
Okay.
come back to
We'll
that.
come back,
All right.
okay.
and then the
So
next.
Right.
And Sandy,
Yes,
if I may, arguably, the disciplinary function of the board is the executive board. So that's in there, the executive board has the power to start removal proceedings for cause.
Yeah,
right,
it's a different
so,
story.
so that alleviates our problem
And
in that the executive board will do any,
So say as a committee, we can say, okay, executive board, this is what we found. It's on.
It's on
you.
Then you refer it
I'll
out to
go
the
to the
executive
borough
board.
president.
Or the borough president, right?
Okay,
All right,
okay, I'm gonna move
all right,
on
the
to
second one
articles.
is Article,
Articles,
Did I go too far?
Article 6,
Article 6, section 13.
which is the biggie.
Yeah.
Okay,
I went too far.
there are
down.
a few
Is there?
things,
No,
It's
but
on the next page, right?
Page 10.
There it is.
there it is,
Okay.
page
Okay,
Thank you, Brian, thank you, Joanna.
10. All right,
so. Okay, so.
all right, go ahead, Joe, we
I
looked at,
guess, all right, each gallery section speaker at full board meeting shall receive initial 2 minutes of uninterrupted speaking time, and then we're striking. Thereafter, they and may respond to,
No, we're
There
not
is-
striking thereafter.
no,
We're adding
thereafter, I'm sorry.
thereafter,
Thereafter,
they may,
they may respond to at most 4 questions or comments from board members, period.
right, and
And
then
the other.
where we're taking out,
How we're taken out without any time restrictions, the presiding officer of the full board may grant any speaker. And then it says, the question and answer period may not surpass 4 minutes, leading to a total time restriction of 6 minutes per speaker. Further speaking time must be approved by the majority vote of the committee board. Okay, so that sounds fine.
that part is okay. All right, now we go on to the next
Brian,
part,
are you okay with
which,
that part?
Yeah, I propose that one.
Okay.
Now here's the thingy. Okay, so.
right, in
Each-
section C,
In section B, well, B, each person wishing to speak at the full board meeting shall complete a registration slip, which will be kept on file at the community board office. The slip shall include the speaker's name, organization, and the subject matter they wish to address. Completion of the slip obligates the speaker to comply with section 12 of these bylaws, the conduct statement. Okay, so that's okay.
Jeremy, does this include the amendments that we had discussed on the
No.
phone? I don't think it does. Go ahead,
I-
Jeremy.
Yeah,
It
no,
is.
so we're missing the one thing about the remote. I forgot to publish that. So was it section C?
Yes,
Or what-
Yes.
remote full board.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Question
so
about-
the idea is, so hold on. So so Sandy, and Rock and I spoke about this. So it's a little bit confusing. Technically, that could apply to all meetings. So the idea, and I think Ryan actually proposed this last month, this is on the last full board agenda. Remote full board meetings. So the tweak here is get rid of the word for and say remote full board meeting, gallery session speakers must register 36 hours in advance. So the restriction is on the people who are going to be online,
Okay.
or not the
I-
restriction, it's the.
I thought it was gonna
registration
say-
required.
I thought we were gonna take out the
For-
word remote.
Yeah, we were gonna
Take
put
out-
4 full board meetings, comma, remote gallery session speakers
Oh.
must register with board staff at least 36 hours in advance of. the
Oh, I
meeting.
see what you mean. It's
So
a
it's
matter of
like-
English.
Right.
It's one or the other.
It's-
Yeah, that's
it's
probably a clear way of
rewording
saying
it.
it.
Okay. Then
Here,
it's.
you want me to share what I have written? Is that,
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
I
the
mean,
30
what Rock is saying is the same, it's the same way to skin a cat, so the expression, hold
okay.
on.
I think it would just make it a little more clear for people
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
it's
that's, I think
remote
that's a
people.
better
Right,
idea.
the one, when we first read it, made it sound as if all remote meetings, or, you know.
Yeah, if we're gonna
Yeah,
take out remote, then
it's
it
the
would
same
all-
thing, but I think the way Rock has suggested is better. So let me delete, so let me go to review. All right, so let me reject these. So we're gonna say for full board meetings, gallery session speakers is what you're saying, right?
Right,
Full
Cynthia?
board meetings.
I mean,
Remote,
Veronica?
yeah,
remote gallery, yeah, that's it.
Remote gallery session speakers.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, beautiful. Very happy. Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
And then all speakers will be called upon in the order in which they register.
but, and the people still have the right to register at the full board meeting up until the time of the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's implied. That's,
Okay.
that's,
Right.
yeah, standard protocol.
Beautiful.
Wait, so we just spent almost the entire year discussing, we spent the entire year discussing registering in advance, only to come back full circle
We didn't want
to
to change.
basically leaving it as it is?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Well, at the last meeting, we had come up with something that was acceptable to all 5 of us who were there. My idea around this would be to just take that we had all agreed on, even if not everyone continues to agree on that. Take it to the full board, since again, we've been discussing it for a year, and then have a vote on it, right? The pro side, the one side is we enact the 36-hour rule, the other side is we do not. And then we get a vote on it and it's done. We just put it to bed. I mean, I see value in the 36-hour rule, but I honestly don't care. It's not that big of a deal. We've got all kinds of guardrails around this. But we've been discussing it for a year, and now to just toss it aside for nothing is
No, we're.
a little bit frustrating in that we have all wasted a lot of our time on this.
Well, we're gonna vote
Yeah.
on it, so there you go.
Well,
Well-
we're not voting on that. What we're voting on is effectively nothing, because a person who is remote, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't
Right.
know that they can register at the meeting anyway. So we're again not changing anything.
Right,
We have been discussing a change for over a
Right.
year. So I think that we should vote on the change that we have been talking about, the people have spent time on. You know, I'm here, I got better things to be doing, if I'm being quite honest, than voting on keeping the bylaws. the
Nothing.
same.
and which
I
one
will
is that?
say,
That's
to
the one-
just to be fair, to add to what Ryan is saying, you know, we've been discussing this the entire year. But if you go back, this conversation precedes this executive board, it precedes the last chair, and I think it precedes the prior chair. Like, we're going several chairs who have been discussing this for quite a while. I am inclined to agree. Like, we're not gonna change anything, then I think it's performative for us to put on paper that people can sign up until the time of the meeting. Like,
That's
it's
what I
what
said.
it's past practice. If that's the way we're gonna go, then whatever. But to put it, to codify it, to me, it's just extra. It's just way extra, and
So
I
Cynthia,
don't feel comfortable with it.
Cynthia, you're saying we shouldn't really make a motion? We should just leave as is?
Well, I mean, if we're gonna leave it as it is, then we leave it as it is. You know what I'm saying? But to say, okay, now we're going to put it in stone that heretofore, for all eternity, you know, gallery slips will have to be available in person at meetings. I don't know. I don't think it's
It was voted on, in the past, it was, agreed. So it is kind of in stone, even though we could change it in the future.
Right.
Yeah, but then we get into a thing where we're changing by, oh well, so we go through the trouble of codifying it to then go to the trouble of striking it later on. I don't, I don't know.
So at this point, what
I have
do
a
we do?
question.
Okay.
Ryan, you said that something was agreed upon last time. Which one are you specifically?
I don't have the
Right.
exact wording, but
Was it the
At
public
the-
hearing one?
right, where we,
Where
maybe
people, if
we,
they needed to,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
could fill out the slip and speak at the public hearing. And then instead of at the full board, they could come to the public hearing, fill out a slip and speak at the public hearing before the full board meeting.
yeah, and I don't have the exact language of it, but
Yeah, but
whatever
we
we came up with to just present that to the board. Like I see that you're not in favor of it, Joanne. I get that, that's fine. But just bring it to the board so that we can say that we had a vote on it, that it was done, and we didn't waste everybody's time.
See, because with the with the town hall meeting, the 15 minutes before, you thought they could express their opinions then, et cetera, et cetera. But also, most of the board members are not present that 15 minutes before. Some of them come in late. So we still need that gallery session.
Well, we had also talked about having it like one person from every committee, rotating it for every meeting, having to be there the 15 minutes early. So
Yeah,
that way there is a representation.
but
of
then
everybody.
we would have to make a new, something eventually, pass a new bylaw or something,
Yeah.
or
So
edict that.
Complex. That sounds complex.
It's not that complex.
No.
well, what I want to ask, a couple months ago, someone came and brought something up, and was it on Kruger, the healthcare facility that people were upset about?
Oh, yeah,
Colden,
but-
on
yeah.
Colden. Yeah.
Okay, so someone came and brought that to the full board meeting. I know that Jeremy looked into it. How many board members went and looked into that and went and said something and went and did something about it?
That we don't know.
Then we don't know.
I'm gonna go ahead and guess. You did, Sandy?
No,
No,
I was
okay.
just trying to say, you don't know.
Yeah. I don't think that any board members did. And you know why that happened? Because it was brought to the full board meeting. People come to the full board meeting and they present something and they expect people to listen because everyone's there. But when you're presenting it to everyone, you're presenting it to no one. You have to assign something to someone. When you bring it to a committee meeting, and that's the idea of registration, right? Is that you can say, hey, go to the committee meeting. The committee can discuss it in depth. You have the expertise in the room. You have the time to discuss it. And this is what I've said each time this has been brought up. That's why I think that this is a valuable thing, because we can tell people that the committee meeting is where this work can get done. No one went and looked at this thing on Colden. Jeremy did, but Jeremy's going to do that anyway because he works here and that's
Part of his job.
yeah. But people bring it to the full board because they think that we're going to listen and do something about it. And that's frankly not what happens. Right?
Right.
So that's why I think that we should register so that we can tell people that you can go to the committee meeting, you can get an answer. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. I'm just saying we discussed something, we agreed on it.
But who is going to tell them once they register? Who tells them that maybe a better venue would be to go to the committee meeting?
Staff,
So is it going to be Jeremy? Is it going to be Chris?
whoever's
It's
putting the
gonna
agenda
carry it.
together, right?
Or are they going to throw it or send it to a committee, the chair, and say, would you, look into this?
I don't think that we should be sharing community members' information that they've sent in through that portal, I think that Jeremy should tell them that, hey, this is when the committee meeting is happening. You're registered, you can come and speak at the full board meeting, but if you want more in-depth, detailed answers and discussion from people who are committed to this policy area, go to the committee meeting.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've done that when people have come with their 2 minutes and I'm saying, you know what? I'll get in touch with you and you come to the health committee meeting and then they do a presentation and it's, you know, put up on YouTube or whatever.
And sometimes they do that, but I think more often than not, people say, you know, I've already taken my time. I've come to the full board meeting. I spoke. I probably stayed for the rest of the meeting and sat there for a couple hours and went home. I feel like I've done my part. I've presented it to the board and they should do something about it. They're not going to come to another meeting. If you tell them that ahead of time, they can plan.
I agree. I mean, it makes.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I agree with Ryan as well. And I think I gave the example at the last board meeting and Ryan just spoke to it. Realistically, if someone comes to our board meeting and it's 7:45 at night and they want to, you know, sign up right then and there to speak about a water main break on Astor Avenue, we're not going to do anything about it at 7:45 in the middle of our board meeting. Whereas, you know, if people have the option of calling the office, emailing the office, something quicker and a better response than coming at 7 o'clock, signing a gallery slip to speak in the gallery, and then we're going to say, okay, thanks, you know, and then we'll have an offline conversation with the committee or with Jeremy or with one of the agencies.
Well, I think that's the way it's been done and it seemed to work. Like, in other words, if somebody comes in and go, oh, well, you know what, there's a committee that's going to deal with that. And it kind of makes it even more, you know, more attention. Whereas I'm thinking a lot of people not going to come to the committee meetings. They're not.
Well,
I think that
you
would
know,
happen.
whether it works or not, all I'm saying is we should put it to the board for a vote. One side, they say, yes, you register. The other side, things stay the same and we don't have to talk about it anymore.
I agree. I think that's the simplest option, and just let the board vote on it and be done.
So you're saying not to vote on this?
Not to vote on it here. When the time comes at the regular meeting this coming Monday, we're leaving this up to the full board to make the decision.
We have to bring them a motion.
Yeah,
Right.
we have to,
We have
to-
have a motion.
We have to.
We would just
like-
have to have a second if we didn't vote on it here. If we didn't approve it here, we could propose it in the full board and have a second and then.
So we have to do,
So, but it would be simpler to do it here and then just bring it up.
Right.
all right, so
Right, so
you
we-
can make the motion,
Go ahead.
I'm not making it. I mean, I'm not. I'm a
Well,
little
Ryan could
confused.
make the motion.
Well, do you want to hear from the gallery first?
Yeah,
Okay.
the gallery first.
But we could decide now what the motion's gonna be, and then we could hear from the gallery and then make the motion
Okay,
official, but
yeah, we have to
we
figure
need
out
to
what
know
the
exactly what our
motion is.
motion's gonna be, like, what are we bringing to the board?
Right. So Ryan, what do you think the motion should be worded?
Well, I'm gonna go back to the tape from last month to get the wording that we had agreed on. And again, you know, I mean, understanding that opinions may have changed, but this is just to put it to the full board.
But we have to make a motion.
Correct. And we have to make a motion after the gallery session. The motion is going to be that the language that we agreed upon last month to effectively enact a 36-hour rule, and encourage people to speak at committee meetings or at the public hearing if they feel like, with the option of the board chair to allow exceptions. But the exact language we'll figure out later.
Do you
You know, I mean, last
know
month, that was what happened too. We figured out the exact language, I think, the night before the full board meeting.
Yeah, did that come up at the full board? Was it on the agenda?
That one, no, it was not. Because it wasn't voted on, right? At the end of the meeting, you all said that it wasn't.
So,
Right.
No, but if we had done it at bylaws, the motion language should be on.
No, I don't
we
think
have to do it.
Jeremy, is there a way for you to check what the language was?
Yeah, the exact wording from the full
I have
board
to
meeting
leave at
in May.
For what?
For the full board meeting in May, when the issue came up and Ryan presented the 36-hour idea.
All right,
I don't know. I don't remember.
all right, well,
Um,
we can't,
It was definitely done at the full board or was done in committee?
No, it was done at the full board.
We have the idea of the motion and we're gonna, because again, like the motion that was presented by the bylaws committee last month was not decided on, the language of it wasn't decided on until a week after the meeting. So I don't know what the challenge is here to talk about the shape of the motion and get the language in line for Monday. I'll have it tomorrow.
all right, well, we can't motion on it. We can't vote on it here then.
That's what
unless we have the
happened
language.
last month, is what I'm saying. That
Yeah.
the language was substantially changed from
Did
what
you
was
send
voted
it to
on.
Ryan? Did you do it
No,
like?
no, no, I'm talking about the one that was the
At the very end.
David's motion. The language was substantially changed from what David said to what you all voted on to what was presented to the full board. Everything changed,
Okay.
right? So I'm saying that we come up with the shape of a motion, we vote on it here, we get the exact language for the full board, or we present it to the full board and have a second. I mean, I don't think that's a big deal either, but
Okay,
But we want to put it to rest by the end of this.
all right, so
Second.
then if you, let's move on to the gallery session, because you have to leave soon. Let's move on to the gallery session. In between, if you can put something together that we could, just something that we could vote on here, and then we can finalize it as long as there's no major changes to the language of the motion. And we can bring it to the full board. That way we try and get it done the way it's supposed to be. I don't think the gallery session is gonna take very long,
Right.
okay?
All right,
Sandy?
anyone in the gallery wish to speak? David, do you have anything? Oh, Ron, go right ahead.
Well, the last time we were here in May, and I brought up the thing down, I called it, because my friend Roger called me the day of the full board meeting. What should I do? I said, go to the full board meeting and bring it up. So the 36-hour thing might have made it delayed a month, because now the project is stopped. Cynthia said that she called people and dealt with it. I remember it, I was sitting right here, and she said that she had dealt with it and did something about it, because that's what she said. Now, is that what she said? I guess we can look, because we did have a discussion. Because as I said, my friend Roger didn't know what to do. I said, the community board meeting is tonight, Roger, come with as many people. He came with 93-year-old Mrs. Casey, who I know my whole life, and her 94-year-old neighbor. Because if you wait a month, sometimes things get done. Because it got nipped in the bud, now the project isn't happening, and they're looking to sell the house. So Roger's very happy, and so is Mrs. Casey. And I'm done.
to that, there is the exception for that the board can make,
Who decides what the exception is?
the chair.
So what if she decides, things have to be the way that everybody feels involved. And as a community member, people should feel involved instead of, I don't know if we want to do that today. Come back next month. And now who knows where that project could have been, waiting a month to take care of, you know? In a month, anything's possible.
So just to, I know that group of community members came to 2 meetings.
Yes,
They came to the first meeting,
right.
and, you know, they brought it to the attention of the board.
Mhm.
And I don't know if Jeremy was already aware of the situation prior to that meeting, or if it came to his attention at that meeting, but the next day phone calls were made, etc.
Yes.
And I will reiterate that the same action would likely have taken place if they had just called the office with a sense of urgency to Jeremy, and Jeremy would have made those same phone calls the following day. That's just because I've seen the way Jeremy jumps on issues that are of grave importance because of the past and things that have been, you know, surprise or whatever. Jeremy gets an email with something that's questionable and seems urgent. Jeremy makes those calls, sends those emails pretty much immediately. So I don't think that registering in person, yes, was it a convenience for them? Sure. And we're grateful that they came and presented the issue. But I think the outcome would have been the same if they had just called the community board office the next morning or earlier that afternoon before the meeting, and Jeremy was already aware of it.
Now, who posted this long story?
That's Jeremy. Jeremy
that's
said that
Jeremy.
Harriet had encouraged members of the public to attend the full board. Long story short, he knew about the issue before they attended,
Right,
didn't necessarily agree with Harriet's suggestion.
Well, can I say something? I think, yeah, if somebody calls the office and we, if somebody calls the office, fine. But then the board, we don't actually have any knowledge of this. So if it's something that deals with us, we don't have any knowledge of it. We don't know, like, if it's a housing thing and then there's somebody trying to move in the neighborhood, so we'll be made aware of it at a forum.
Which is the
Which is,
the
yeah.
public hearing could be one of those forums.
Well, then maybe the public hearing,
Cynthia, you're
everyone.
muted.
Right. And at the end of the day, the full board didn't take any action on this matter. It was the office that
Right.
made the calls, that dealt with the agencies and sent out the emails.
But shouldn't the board be aware of certain problems that are going on?
well, they were made aware
Jeremy
of.
usually sends stuff through email. Now, whether everybody reads their emails that he sends out is another story.
I did.
All right.
Well, maybe it should make the public hearing, everyone has to attend, come in the 15 minutes before. I mean, that could be too.
Or or have people from each committee attend on a rotating basis.
Well, if you want to do that,
Yeah,
15 minutes before wouldn't be a big deal.
well, for some of us.
I think we should move it along.
Okay.
David.
Okay,
Fine, okay.
is there anyone else in the gallery session?
David.
Yes, I would like to
Go
be.
ahead, David.
My name is David Levitt, and I'm a member of Community Board 11. During the Bylaws Committee report at the May 2025 full board meeting, while the motion to preserve the use of gallery slips at full board meetings was under discussion, District Manager polled the Bylaws Committee members present and asked if they would like to table the motion. The majority of the Bylaws Committee members present agreed to table the motion, and discussion ended at the full board without a vote. I believe this action by the Bylaws Committee was improper, and the motion should be returned for action by the full board at this month's meeting. Under Robert's Rules of Order, a subcommittee can't table a motion that is currently being considered by the main committee, here the full board. Tabling a motion by a subcommittee while the main committee is considering it removes it from the main committee's consideration, which is an overreach by the subcommittee. The power to take action on a motion rests with the body currently considering it. If a committee is considering a motion, only that committee can take action on the motion. If the Bylaws Committee doesn't take action at the full board meeting this month to continue discussion and to vote on the motion in question, I have no choice but to file an ethics and disciplinary complaint against the district manager and the board chair. Please understand that I do not want to file the complaint I have drafted. I want only for the motion to be voted on by the full board. I respect the outcome of that vote, but I object to the way the motion was removed from consideration by the full board after it had been properly presented. Discussion was ongoing, and it was just minutes from a vote by the full board.
So you're, go
Well,
ahead, all right, go ahead, Ron.
Question, can I borrow the mouse?
Yes, please, go ahead.
It's page 10, I think. That's
This is, I'm looking for.
No, he's looking for something else.
No, don't have it. Just kind of the description. What's your understanding of the Bylaws Committee, David? Like, what's the purpose of the Bylaws Committee?
To make recommendations.
On what?
On a well, if somebody proposes a bylaws change, they ask.
Right on proposals.
The proposal, no matter what it is, has to be, the chair of the board has to present it. And then the next month has to be voted on.
Right, so there are two things that I want to zero in on here. Number one, the Bylaws Committee is here to discuss proposed bylaw changes that are properly presented to the chair, and then the chair presents to the board. This motion does not change the bylaws in any substantive way. Everything stays the same, the process stays the same, and it was not properly presented. I understand that there was, I believe, a voice vote taken to go ahead and accept it, and then because the proper procedure wasn't followed, it wasn't included on the agenda, and that caused some consternation. But to argue that this was a properly presented thing that should have been considered by the committee that is here to consider proposed bylaw changes when it was not properly presented, I feel like that's a little bit of overstating the issue. And that's all I've got.
I'm at a loss, but I think that somewhere along the line, we have to take what David had said and put it into a motion to be voted on.
I mean, I'll look in to see if there is a way to do that as a, like, oh, I got three-way vote. That
Yeah,
doesn't make
because-
any sense. But
yeah.
on one end,
So-
have David's wording, and on the other end, had the wording that we created in the May meeting.
We could even use some of David's wording.
No, that's what I'm saying. One side is that, but then there might be others who want to leave it unchanged. And that would be a third vote, and then you would need a majority, and that wouldn't work. I don't know how you'd do that.
I think, David, what you were saying is to keep it the same, basically. That's what you were saying, an up and down vote to keep it the same.
The language that was presented to the full board
Was a little
was
different,
different.
but it was basically the same. So,
Keep the gallery slips.
yes.
Very simple.
That's
And
what
it-
we
and it's
want to do. That.
Basically, what you're saying
So
is.
I have a question, because I know that once again, we had gone back and forth first on the 36-hour registration several times. Was that ever submitted as a motion officially and voted on or not by committee? Because now we had David's proposal, which came up. So which one comes first? Which one gets dibs on being the first one presented?
Well, it would be David since he did it first.
Well, that's the question.
No, that's not
The
true.
question, because we've
True.
been talking about the 36 hours since the start of the term.
Okay.
Say that we propose the language that was proposed in May on one side, we can do David's language, or keep it the same if David consents to that. I'm also in favor of combining the committees, but I gotta.
So where do we go from here?
David, what would you prefer? Because you're bringing it up. Should we?
I appreciate that this issue has been discussed for a long time.
Ad
I
nauseam.
did not say that.
No, I'm saying it.
Those discussions took place at open meetings. They've all been recorded. I did not participate in any of those discussions. I respect the views that were put out in those discussions. When I got involved in the issue, I did so publicly. And I stated at the meeting in April, when we met at Bronx House, that I was asking for the consideration of the full board and of the chair to accept my proposed bylaw change verbally.
Mhm.
I did so in full view of everyone, and the board chair accepted it. My goal was to simplify the issue, to keep the gallery slips or not,
Mhm.
and put that to a vote to the full board. That is what I'm hearing that everybody wants to do. That
Well,
issue was what was voted out of committee last month. Every meeting is recorded. You can go back and verify what I'm saying. When the motion was presented at the full board last month, there was confusion as to what the motion was. The motion was simply to keep the gallery slips and to codify it and put it in the bylaws, and then to have an up or down vote on that after discussion of the issue. Somehow, the committee was polled during a full board meeting, which we never do, which is not done. And somehow it didn't get voted on. All I'm asking for is that there be an up or down vote on having the gallery slips and have that in writing in the bylaws.
okay.
Okay,
If I am
we can do
forced
that.
to,
Okay.
I will document at each point in the meeting where all these things occurred.
Okay.
And I will pursue a complaint for the purpose of bringing this to a vote. That is my only goal, to bring this to a vote.
Okay,
All right.
can we do that? Can we?
Can we make a
Can
motion
we make a motion tonight?
tonight?
Yeah, we can
Right.
make a motion.
And if we think the wording is not exact, please help us with it. Okay.
According to what David's saying, we don't have to do that here because we already did it once. And it needs to go to the full board.
But maybe we should
Do-
apprise the full board that we,
Do you remember what the motion was that was brought to the full board before? Because
That's-
if not, we have to
We could
review
go
it.
back over the tape.
Right.
It was essentially to say in the bylaws that there will be gallery slips available up until the time that each full board meeting starts.
right,
That was it. That was
Yeah.
the whole thing.
and that's what I've always said.
Can we do?
I understand that.
We
The
can
the
do
issue
that.
that came up, subsequent to that was whether or not one negates the other, because there has been all this discussion about the 36 hours. So by presenting one motion to codify the gallery slips, up until the time of the meeting, watch it. Sorry. Whether or not then it's giving preference to a bylaw suggestion that was presented in April, which was accepted, over what's been discussed prior regarding the 36 hours. I don't know if it makes things easier to just do a simple, do we require people to sign up 36 hours, or do we leave the gallery slips as it is? If that's a fair compromise or not, and just be done with it, let the board vote and just finally end this discussion, or not.
So what should we do?
Jeremy, I know, made a point of saying that the 36 hours was to do it because
Oh,
for the, could be for anyone to speak, because if he put it on the agenda, that he needed that 36 hours.
well,
But at the same time, we should have to allow, and we should allow anybody to sign up until the time of the meeting.
But that's an opinion. That's an opinion that needs to be voted on by the full board. Not everyone feels that way. Maybe everyone in that room right now, but I can tell you about half a dozen or more board members who don't feel that way. So we can't, impose that, which
but
is
we
why.
can vote on it
that's a-
and then they can vote
Yes,
it
no,
up or down.
absolutely.
We can vote on it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
But I think that it's important to give the options, because I think that, again, we've been discussing a 36-hour registration for years, and this term has been completely consumed by it.
so actually,
And-
what David is saying, if I may stop you.
Let Cynthia finish the
Okay.
thought.
So What I'm saying is maybe we should simplify it. Board members, do we want people to sign up 36 hours in advance? Or do we want to leave things the way they are where people sign up up until the day and time of the meeting? I think that might be the simplest compromise and then let people vote it that way. Because to
So
present one
David, that would be
option,
yours.
May I speak?
Yeah, that,
Cynthia, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
nor did I, but go ahead, David.
Cynthia, were you finished?
Yes.
Yes, he's finished now.
Cynthia, I think that is what people are voting on, but people can only vote yes or no on a motion. You
Right.
can't vote that they want gallery slips or 36-hour rule. We never structure any votes like that.
So take have 2 votes or 1 vote and just saying we will allow people to register up until the
But
time
the
of,
Bylaws Committee has an obligation to take complicated issues and make them understandable to the full board so that they can ask questions to clarify, but not be completely confused when they're voting. That's what I was trying to do. Is to say the motion was simple, to have gallery slips. And then if that's approved, then the issue is put to rest. If it's voted down, then you can come back the next month and do the 36-hour rule.
Fair
so
enough.
you're saying,
That's just a suggestion.
all right, so you're saying we should make a motion to say keeping the gallery slips and people may sign up until the time of,
That was the motion that was voted out of this committee.
so.
And that's how it was presented
Should we
at
do
the
it
last
again?
board meeting
All right.
for a vote.
Do it again.
I don't, here's the thing. I don't know if we need to vote on it again here from what David is saying. The motion was already passed by committee. We need to bring it to the full board. So we need to, Jeremy, go ahead.
I just want to make sure we're clear on what we're talking about here because I see 2 sides to this. So, correct me if I'm wrong. So, Cynthia and Ryan, well, Ryan left, but Cynthia, so there's this proposal to require advanced registration going back to September, October, I forget whenever it was first put under your report. And what Ryan is saying is that was never properly addressed, right? This is the proposal. If you want up or down, this is the proposal, is to require a 36-hour advanced registration, which came well before David's thing. Am I correct? Am I right about that, Cynthia? That's your viewpoint on it. Okay, so then David's thing comes in with, he wants to keep it the way it's been. I mean, so that's yes, David is correct. He did publicly ask for the board to vote on this. How we vote on it, I guess, is a matter of contention. I mean, we could do a survey. We don't have to, like, which way do you prefer, people? I think what Cynthia's concern is presenting, people don't realize maybe there's an option depending on how this is presented. Am I wrong about that? Is that where you're going, Cynthia?
exactly.
So, I mean, we can poll the board. We can do a survey. We can make it transparent. We can make the results public. We can do it. We can discuss it at the full board first if necessary. I mean, it's really up to you guys, but this is how I see it. This is why, these are the 2 sides, right? Change things, keep it the way it is.
So
Does that make
Cynthia and
sense?
Jeremy, my question to you guys is, David's stating that the motion that was put to the board, the full board last month was withdrawn in error. It shouldn't have been done the way it was done.
Correct, David?
Are you in agreement with that? Or do you have reason to believe that that's not the case? Because if that is the case, we have to make a decision on that, how we're gonna move forward with that.
I mean, I think it's irrelevant. That's my opinion. Cynthia?
I actually would have to go back to that meeting and revisit it all over again, just to refresh my memory. I don't want to speak out of turn.
So I
Well,
think,
we were polled. We were definitely
oh,
polled. And she and I voted no, and everyone else voted to, table it. So I remember that.
and we shouldn't have really had that kind of vote. We should have left the vote
let
to
the
the
vote,
whole.
yeah.
So why don't we just restate the issue or the motion and vote on it again? And let the full board vote on it.
You don't think it's necessary?
That's,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand David's position, but I mean, if I may ask Sandy this question to David, may I?
go right ahead.
So David, are you opposed to a poll?
It only is going to delay
Well, right now
issue.
it's status quo.
Let me
Right
ask
now
you,
we have
let me
status
ask you a
quo.
question,
okay.
Jeremy.
Guys, you can't talk above each other. Jeremy, let him finish the
Jeremy,
statement.
when you've
Yeah,
done
go on,
polls
sorry.
in the past, what have been the response rates? Have they been?
I can get you a very good response rate. When there's something important and I need a response, I mean, Veronica, Joanne,
He
Sandy
takes
know
people
very
down to make
well.
sure they respond.
It's just that the issue has been discussed for so long. My goal was to just bring simplicity to the issue, make it clear to the full board that this is what the issue is, vote on it, up or down. Whatever happens with that vote, then if it gets voted, if it's approved and the gallery slips stay, that's it. If it gets voted down, then you could come back to committee and work out what the next issue is. But we're already at June. You know, you're talking about having to push it out another 3 months to the end of September at the earliest.
I hear your point, David. But again, it brings me back to basically codifying something before we ever really get a chance to address the other thing that's been looming over us for the entire term. Like that's my quandary. I feel like to just put it to bed with one vote, one option
But-
is a disservice in the sense of saying, well, but there's this other option that we've been discussing. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, and I know what you're trying to get at, but another way of putting it is that there's been so much discussion from so many different committees, everyone has had their say. The issue is cooked. At some point, it has to be put to a vote, and the vote has to be put out there in such a way that people understand what they're voting on. I mean, it sounds like it's time to take a vote. I think everybody is saying the same thing, but the question is, what are they going to vote on?
David, could we combine?
So,
I'm talking, Jeremy. I'm
Yeah, go
asking
ahead.
David a question. Could we combine, say, the 36-hour pre-registration with the registration slips in one full sweep, saying that, there will be a 36-hour registration. However, the
That's where the
registration slips will be
confusion
available.
comes in, Sandy, because the 36-hour pre-registration to speak at the gallery wasn't being affected by this. This was simply.
I have an idea.
Go ahead.
Go on. No, let David finish and then I'll
I was just gonna say that I remember the discussion and that the 36-hour rule to pre-register, Jeremy had put out his arguments that during the pandemic, he said that there was chaos and, running the meetings online. And so keeping that made sense. All this was doing was saying that there would be gallery slips at the full board meeting. It wasn't changing that people could register 36 hours beforehand.
Right.
And actually, when you look at the bylaws now, there is nothing that states about the 36 hours.
Well, except
Because-
in that, except,
Except for the remote meetings.
Yeah.
Alright,
well, I mean, if we keep it the same, there's no need to do, because it's written here about each person who has to do fill out a slip. I
Jeremy.
mean, it is there.
can I
Cynthia,
oh,
go ahead, Cynthia.
so what if we have the 36-hour registration required and then have as a compromise for those unable to register for whatever reason, we will have up to 5 gallery slips available at the time of the meeting, you know, moving forward. Is that a fair enough
I'm saying,
I don't
Because we
think
were
we should
talking
put
about
a
that.
A number.
hard limit on it, because people won't know they've come out to the meeting, then they're the sixth person and they can't speak because they're the sixth person,
Right.
and only they've known they've been the third person. It's hard when you put, hard limits on it, an absolute number. I don't think that the gallery session is being abused. I think people who come there speak in a very serious way and in the best way that they know how. And all I'm trying to do is preserve that, because if we don't have a gallery session, there'll be nobody in the audience.
But you see, that's where the language gets really nebulous, because to say that requiring a 36-hour registration means that there is no gallery session is completely, it's distorting the truth, right? Because we're still having a gallery session. We're just
We're
saying
restricting
register
it,
36 hours
Restricting
in
it.
advance.
but we're restricting it.
we're
being
restricting it
restricted.
back basically before, because the agenda has to be put forth X amount of hours before
They
we
don't-
have the meeting, but they don't know that.
But they don't have to
Right.
be on the agenda. They
Right, they don't have to be.
Jeremy has his hand up.
Go ahead,
So-
Jeremy.
All right, so if you want to straight up and down and vote to to be fair and to, I guess, take away the concerns that Cynthia and Ryan have, is vote on the 36-hour restriction that was proposed back in the fall, straight up or down. And if that fails, if you want to try to codify it, which I know certain people are not against or not in favor of codifying the current procedure, then make that motion to do it then.
But we already
That's
had a motion at the full board meeting. You may say it was irrelevant, Jeremy, but what happens if I, at the next full board meeting next week, say, while during every committee report, what if I say we should poll that committee and see if it should be tabled? You would tell me that that's not appropriate. We don't do that. We've never done that before. But that's
So
what was
hold on,
done
don't.
at the May meeting.
Yes, but don't mischaracterize what I said. You asked me a question about what what the bylaws committee did last month. That's what I said was irrelevant. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the question Veronica posed to Cynthia and me. Right?
My question was, if we feel that what David says, that the motion should be brought back because it was tabled and by a vote that was not,
An improper
correct?
vote.
should we bring it back to the full board? That was my question.
And I understand where you're coming from. The full board, yes, they said they would, yes, they wanted, you did get the full board to agree on something.
No, it was
But
just
again-
the committee that was polled to
That's it.
say to table
No,
it.
no, but he's talking, could be wrong. David this is at the what? The Bronx House meeting where he asked the entire board, can we vote on this straight up or down?
I don't think it was
Right.
the Bronx House. I
It was.
think
It was
Yeah.
Bronx House meeting, and I said,
So,
I didn't say that we could vote on it at that meeting. I said, could I make an oral bylaws change and bypass the writing? Cynthia accepted it. I didn't do it in the shadows outside behind the building. I did it in front of everybody, and it was accepted by the chair. I also said that if the board chair didn't want to accept it, then I would file it formally.
No,
That's
I,
what
I,
happened.
I don't take that away from you, David. Here's I'm gonna say something that may rattle some folks, but I honestly feel that this 36-hour, this is just my opinion. I feel that this 36-hour proposal has met resistance by a certain number of people on the board, and it's been tabled and tabled and tabled, and the language hasn't been right, and da 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 da, which then brought us to David's proposal. So, now we have one proposal that was presented in a full board meeting by procedure, and I accepted it, whatever. But we still have that 36-hour one that was just kind of, discussed and never able agree, we're able to, which led us to this proposal. My, once again, my concern is that we have one proposal that's been in existence, albeit unclearly. And then we have another one that was presented by David. And which comes first? Which one gets the priority? Which one gets to be presented to the full board first? Is it the one that was presented by David because it was presented in public in a certain way? Or is it the one that's been discussed for the entire term that for whatever reason has never quite gotten clarified or written down or voted on, or there's no quorum or what, that's what troubles me about the whole thing. But ultimately, if we want to just present, at this point, I don't care anymore. Just present something, we'll vote on it, let the full board decide, and I'm done.
Who's this?
It's not mine.
I don't know whose fault, whatever that is. Personally, I think we should take David's proposal and bring back before the board
Should we vote on it tonight?
and vote on it tonight.
Okay.
He doesn't need to be here for a
Right, so
committee.
what do you think?
Okay.
Yeah, because he mentioned it in the April meeting, and I remember it very clearly. And Cynthia kind of agreed with it, so why not make that the motion?
Okay.
May I ask a question? May I?
Yeah,
Are the two issues, Cynthia, are they really in opposition to each other? I don't intend to speak against the 36-hour registration rule. I understand there are other people who've had a lot of, opinions on it, and I respect them. But are the two motions really in opposition to each other?
No, they're not.
no, they're not.
I think so. I think so, because if we're saying you have to register 36 hours before, but we'll have gallery slips for you up until the start of the meeting. The two don't match. They don't.
But in our bylaws, we have for remote full, we have it in the
That was,
36 hours with the remote.
that bylaw.
But that's
that
remote.
bylaw
That's a
amendment-
different thing.
That bylaw came
That was
in.
put in during COVID when we were actually having full remote
Right.
meetings. We're not having fully remote.
So
meetings
actually,
anymore.
that's why we're changing the wording of that one. I would just think, let the 36-hour. Don't bring it up, but bring up about having
Okay.
having
I'm not
the
trying
valley.
to.
No, I'm not.
To
I'm-
bury the 36 hours.
No, I am
It's
saying
done another time.
could be done another time, but get everyone the right to use the gallery.
But maybe it can be worked out. If the 36-hour rule is already in there for remote, then strike the word remote and then have a vote and allow the 36-hour and the gallery slips. But Cynthia says that the two are.
But that was
They are in
presented,
opposition.
Yeah.
but that was presented and people said, oh, no, somebody took out the word remote. Oh, that's not okay. So again, it feels like, just actually trying to bury the 36-hour registration requirement. I'm sorry. I know that's not a popular opinion, but it's how it feels.
I'm not trying to bury.
I'm not trying to bury it, but we don't even have it written down in the bylaws.
Well, here,
Well, yeah,
we do.
yeah,
We have it in the bylaws.
right, the 36 hours. But that was only for when we were sick,
Mhm.
we're
Right.
doing COVID.
Well, so we're gonna make a motion.
Can I just state for the record what's in the chat?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the gallery session has been abused in the past, not just remotely.
But if the people only can speak for 2 minutes and they can be stopped and they go against the code of conduct, they can be removed. So if you have like 10 people and it's 2 minutes, it's 20 minutes. It's not really a big deal.
Right, but we cannot put a number or a limit on the gallery session.
What if we put a limit like 10 people? We don't usually get more than 10 people.
We could do 10 people.
So what if we say 36-hour registration and the first 10 people that come can sign up for the slip? We don't usually get more than 10 people
Okay.
at a thing. And if we do, it's usually some big issue and we can combine people that maybe live in the same area and let them speak
But
together.
then we have to delay it because we never talked about the 10 people. So that would be something that'll have to be presented to the board and in
Well, here we-
June, and then if we voted on it in September.
Well, here
So,
we
you
have it.
know,
We're talking about, you know.
no, that's just the, no.
You don't think it'll
that's,
think-
that's a good compromise. The committee hasn't been operating like that, Joanne, where, you know, every time a change is made, it has to then go back and then be represented.
We've been doing that. We have been doing that.
We're
Not,
trying.
I mean, I've only been on the committee for a couple of months, but I know a couple of times where changes were made here to a proposal that was made, and it wasn't brought back to the full board and then back to the
When I
committee.
was chair, we didn't do that either, and you were on the committee.
Right,
We had lengthy discussions, respectful discussions about it, and we made some compromises. Usually the person who made the recommendation was at the meeting. So
David's at the meeting, and if he's in agreement with this recommendation, I think we can
We
move
can do
forward.
it. You're at the
Because-
meeting.
We're not trying to keep people from signing up. We're trying to get them to use the remote sign up more. But if people can't, there's 10 slots that we could at least give. And there's also the discretion of the chair, should she want to let more people talk after that, if it's a big ongoing
Big
issue,
to-do.
she has the right to make that.
Right. But
Um,
10
that's
people should use,
choice.
I mean, that covers it.
how does that sound, Cynthia?
Cynthia.
But isn't that what I said, that we would have a certain number of in-person
yeah.
signups? And then I was told that we
Not-
were restricting people.
Not five.
Cynthia,
Not five.
it's a given, it's a given.
It's a give and take. We're
So
just
instead
changing
of
certain
five,
numbers.
So
We'll change it
change
to
it to
10.
10.
And that way it's a compromise, and that way, because we usually don't get that many people
Right.
at the gallery session.
And if it's on the same topic, we tell them, please combine. We say, you know, we're not, you
Right.
know, like, there's 5 people for the same topic, please have one person represent. So.
And
Well,
this
that-
way,
We have to,
we have
we have
everything
to
covered.
write, we have to,
So
We
does
have-
that mean that it would have the 36-hour rule and the 10 people? So we
Yes.
cover both issues?
it would cover
Yes.
both issues.
it would cover both issues at once. You know,
How did that sound to everybody?
it sounds good to
That
me.
sounds
That's what
good.
I've been trying to say.
Yep.
Cynthia?
Cynthia, why not?
I just think it's redundant, but whatever, let the majority decide. It's
Why
fine.
would it be redundant? You have the 36 hours.
No. It's fine, though, my opinion is irrelevant. Present it, let the board decide. Look at this woman in the middle of the street. She okay?
Oh, dear.
It's just present it at the board and then let the board decide.
But
Okay,
we have to vote on it tonight, don't we?
right, you have to make a motion.
So.
And we do have a
Veronica,
quorum.
We have a quorum. So.
All right.
Veronica, you want
So
to
the-
state it?
I make a motion
Bring
that
this
we put
work.
the 36 hours on, you have something to, okay, go ahead.
But I'm
See, if
saying
you're over there, we can see
the
you.
36 hours was put on because of COVID.
Correct,
Do we still have COVID?
No, but we still have people on remote.
right.
Well, I thought the remote stopped, but I guess not.
So you're suggesting that we completely stop any access to people for remote meetings? Is that your
Well, I
suggestion?
don't think the 36-hour rule would mean they can't be on remote.
Well, that's your kind of.
But sometimes they may
Okay.
sign up and not.
Debbie,
be
can
on
you give me
remote.
that back? That's
But you know what I'm saying? 36 hours is because of COVID. Now there's no COVID. If you want to keep remote, it's fine. But the 36 hours is for what? Because we had COVID or we just want 36
For
hours?
people who are joining remotely.
For people who are joining.
Still join remotely, but they don't.
I think we're going back
It's a
again. All right.
compromise.
Let's just make a motion and be done.
Let's make a motion that we keep the 36-hour remote or 36-hour registration for people who want to. No, because they, you know what? They don't, they could sign up, but not necessarily be remote. They
So
could be
in other words,
signing off.
36 hours. So take the remote out, like I
Take
said.
that, which we did.
For a full board meeting, gallery session speakers must register with the board staff at least 36 hours in advance of the meeting. And in addition, we will have 10 slots for in-person
signing up
person
from the
signs
gallery.
Point.
Oh, wait, my cable doesn't work, my bad.
What?
USB.
No, I think,
Yeah.
Okay,
all right,
yeah, how's
That's
that
the
for the,
motion.
David, what do you think?
I think that's what we.
All right.
Right, that's
That
what
works.
right, that works.
all right,
So,
so.
go ahead, you started writing.
I,
We make a motion
No.
to keep the 36-hour remote signing in,
no, not remote,
right,
and it could be anybody.
36-hour registration in advance.
So it says here. All right, the motion is for
Hold on,
full
let me
board
Board
meetings,
meetings,
for full board meetings, gallery session speakers must register with board staff at least 36 hours in advance of the meeting. Don't talk about remote.
Right, right, we leave
But
out the word,
in addition, those people wishing to speak at the
full
same
board.
day at the
I
full
don't think
board.
those people wishing to speak. In
Right.
addition, there
In
will be
addition,
There will-
availability of 10 registration slips available
And we
prior
have
to
them
the full board
numbered,
for in-person speaking.
right,
Okay.
numbered slips.
I said that, there will
Yeah,
be
but-
10 registration slips
Right, but I
available for
wanted-
in-person
yeah.
speaking prior to the full board.
Oh, what I was saying is, we have 10 slips, but we want them numbered.
well, whatever.
Whatever.
We don't, that's.
I know, it'll be understood. Okay,
So.
David, and that covers it all, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we're gonna restate the motion.
All right, let's hear what, okay.
Okay. May I borrow your paper for a second, so from the beginning? Okay, so it's going to state. For full board meetings, gallery session speakers must register with
Thank
board
you.
staff at least 36 hours in advance of the meeting. In addition, there will be 10 registration slips for in-person speaking prior to the start of the full board meeting.
Okay,
Good?
Yes,
okay, that's our motion.
that's our motion. Motion to accept?
Well,
Aye.
who's seconding it?
I'll second it.
Okay, so Sandy, I just gave the language, so Sandy, Joanne,
I didn't realize that thing.
okay, any objections?
No, any objections?
No objection.
Abstentions?
No absent.
Okay, passes unanimously.
All right.
Oh, I had a question.
Yeah,
Just
Jeremy,
because I'm the one who ends up editing the bylaws and publishing them. All right, so we're keeping, so for remote full board meeting, for full board meetings.
Just full board, yeah.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
taking
for
out
full
the
board
word
meetings,
remote.
we have two different things. Remote gallery session speakers must register at least 36
No.
hours.
No.
wait, he's saying that there's B and C, so now we have to do something with B. I think we can combine B. Can we combine B and C together and put part of that language after the full board meeting part?
Maybe read the motion to Jeremy. And
No, I mean, I heard the motion. It's just,
yeah, it's one, it could be section B. It would-
let me play with it. Why don't you go to the easier motions that, right? We're gonna combine, you guys are gonna combine ethics and bylaws or no?
Oh, no,
Did
let's
you
do
vote on
this
A?
first.
We're doing this one first.
Let's do this one first, and then we'll do that
Alright.
one last.
I mean, I don't think B cancels out any of them. It's just saying that they have to complete a registration form. And then C qualifies how and who,
But
right?
I
There's
think,
in-person and there's remote people.
Much clearer
I
the
think
way
if
she
we
wrote
leave
it.
B there, it kind of gives the impression that anybody could sign up before the meeting. I think if we want it to be very clear, we need to combine them
Right,
or at least, or move B down and say for those. Not saying each person wishing to speak at full board shall complete a registration, because not everyone's gonna be able to, if we're gonna do it to 10 and we get more
Right.
than 10 people.
So
that
can
wanna
we say
speak.
persons
It's
wishing
usually
to
not an
speak?
issue, but
Yeah, what she wrote was.
yeah,
that's just the motion. He's talking
Yeah.
about
Right.
the language in the,
Uh-huh.
we could, yeah.
In the
combining
bylaws.
it, yeah. You could combine B and C and just make it B.
Yeah,
what do you think, Jeremy?
So we could start off with B saying four full board meetings.
Right.
Uh-huh.
4 full board meetings. Each person wishing to speak in the gallery
Mm-mm.
shall complete, hold on.
You start off at the 36.
And then go to,
And then go to the 10 people.
so you're saying put C,
I don't, if we keep it all in one paragraph, it's on whoever's reading it to, look, it's easier to enforce, but if it's all in one paragraph, okay, read the whole paragraph. It's like read the fine print. The title, as you know, just because a community member reads the title of an email doesn't mean they're a board member. You know what I'm saying? So
So
you've got to read, if you read the whole paragraph, I think we can keep the language as it's written, except for we start with that paragraph, full board meetings, and that all pertains to full board meetings. And that's so that I just bring up C and say remote speakers must register at least 36 hours in advance. In-person speakers, I say we
oh, I see.
call them in-person speakers.
Well, what
Up
if
to
someone,
10 in-person speakers may register up to this, in person, up to this. I mean,
but that's
But
what
Jeremy-
we're saying.
my thought is, people who are registering the 36 hours are not necessarily being remote. They could be coming to the meeting, but they're registering 36 hours in advance.
Yeah, but then does that limit the 10 people?
Yeah,
So
that-
maybe
yeah, that's-
he's got-
yeah.
no. So that's irrelevant. In my opinion, it's irrelevant. If they register in advance, fine. We're going to have 10 slips on hand in person at all times,
Okay,
Okay,
right?
right?
No,
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's just the remote speakers must register 36 hours in advance.
Okay,
And then, so basically it's the same sentence, except for we move 4 full board meetings up to the top. We remove the word remote. So the paragraph B starts off four full board, 2 may Fs, 4 full board meetings. Each person wishing to speak in the gallery shall complete a slip, registration slip, yada, yada, yada. Remote speakers must register at least 36 hours in advance. And then the exact language is a little
So
tricky.
basically, that just cancels out what we had just made as a motion, that there only be 10 slips.
No, how does that cancel out? We know, we put that in there. That's the last sentence of that paragraph. There will always be 10 slips available for in-person signups,
okay.
right?
so
That's the spirit of what we're talking about here. There will always be 10 slips.
so you're saying 10 slips shall include, wait,
That's what Veronica said.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
No, but that's what- he's changing the language, and I'm not sure.
If you like.
You know what? Well, here, look,
I'm
Yes.
changing it just to keep with the spirit, but it's going to be all in one paragraph.
this, but you know what he's saying, the slip shall include the speaker's name, organization, whatever. Now, that could be
Yeah.
included too. Because.
No, that
Well,
should be
that's-
included,
that
that's what
doesn't
I'm saying,
change
that,
So,
That doesn't change anything. Paragraph B, but I'm just saying, put C and B together, right? That's what you
Yeah,
propose.
that's what
Put
I
C and B
said,
together.
yeah, that's what I had
so
said.
you wanna have
But which is going to come first,
I
the
think
36 hour or,
that the 36 hours should come first. And then for B, if you want to do it, for C, we say that,
no, another,
there will be 10, in addition, there will be 10 slips for the person speaking prior to the start of the full board meeting. And then you could say each,
gallery slip shall
just a gallery slip shall include the speaker's name, organization, and subject matter they wish to address. So we're just adding the 10 on top of that. What do you think?
No, but so the slip is arguably the same whether they're remote sign up or in-person sign up. That's why I think paragraph B in many ways shouldn't be changed. They have to fill out a slip, period.
right,
Right.
that's,
Oh, I see what
In
you're
terms-
so keep,
But in terms of the restriction for remote speakers, I don't know why that can't come afterwards. I understand your concern that oh, people won't read that part of it. But again, put it all in one paragraph. They don't read the whole paragraph. I mean, I'm there to explain it.
Here, if they.
They may not
divide
like
the
it, but-
base error. That's fine. That's fine, right? No, you don't.
At this point, just tell me what the motion's gonna be,
Right,
so we
okay.
could motion and we can get out here.
Okay, right, so,
Let's read it again.
Let's-
Do you want me to share my screen? I already
Yeah.
started typing.
Okay.
You want me to share my screen?
Okay,
So the motion is to combine B and C.
well, no, you're saying
Notice-
to not to.
Okay, let me
combine.
take the track changes though.
And then bring up the
So,
farm.
Can you enlarge that a little more?
Yeah,
yeah, of course. Let me try to take the chat.
All right,
Let me remove the track changes. Why can't I? Oh, okay. Let me take the show the markup off.
every public meeting shall ensure the public's right.
Okay.
All right, that stays.
So why is this not coming up as B? I don't know. Oh, there we go. All right. Hold on. So I got to play with the format, but hold on. Let me zoom it in because I know it's small for some of you. So can you see it better? Is that better?
Yeah, so far, okay.
Okay, so for full board meetings, each person wishing to speak in the gallery, it's all the same language. And then I bring C up right here. Remote speakers must register 36-hour advance. And then this is the language that's a little tricky, but I
Right.
understand what you want. You want 10 slips
There will
on
be
hand,
10
in
slips,
person.
there will be 10 registration slips
Available.
available prior to the full board meeting.
At the full board.
Well, right,
For in-person
person
speakers.
speakers at the full board meeting,
Prior to the start of the.
Prior
prior to the start.
Must be filled out prior to the start, must be.
Well, right, they will, which must be filled out prior.
Wait,
Prior
Wait a
to
minute.
The reading.
If you're changing this as he's typing, you guys just let him finish typing and
Okay.
then you
Right.
can make the changes.
Yeah, I mean, it's
no,
still.
I'm just stuck. I'm stuck on the 36-hour applies only to remote speakers.
Yes.
Well, that's not what I had said,
No,
but
Right,
That's not what we've been discussing.
Should be
Well,
anyone.
that's exactly
Right.
what you said.
Speakers must
What is the- what
register
is-
with board
What-
staff.
I mean,
I'm gonna leave out the
I mean, I
word
understand.
remote, and that's what they want.
Hey, you can't speak all at the same time. This is
Right.
where it's getting confusing.
All right,
Oh, so, okay, I didn't, so you want it for everyone?
So
Yes.
Right.
basically, what I had said was for full
Okay.
board meetings, gallery session speakers must register with board staff at least 36 hours in advance of the meeting. Period. Nothing about remote.
right,
And then we say, in addition, there will be 10 registration slips for in-person speaking prior to the start of the full board meeting. They have to register 36 hours in advance to definitely guarantee they're going to speak. But if anything comes up, we'll have 10 available slots prior to the meeting that they can sign up for.
Okay, so
That's it.
this looks good, B looks good.
Good.
For full
So-
board meetings, each person wishing to speak in the gallery shall complete a registration slip which will be
Yeah.
kept on file at the community board office. Slip shall include the speaker's name, organization, if any, and
That
subject
is
matter
not-
they address. Completion of the slip obligates the speaker to comply with section 12 of the bylaws, community conduct standard. Great. All speakers.
No, that's not right,
No,
Joanne.
it's not right?
It should start with the 36-hour rule and
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's
right,
start with
we
the
left that out,
36-hour
we left
rule.
that, okay.
Can I ask a question just because obviously I confused what you guys decided upon? I'm sorry, I'm multitasking here.
So in other
So-
words,
So we want registration for everybody with the exception of people who may not be aware of the 36-hour rule.
right,
Is that what we're really getting at here?
So everybody, there's gonna be a 36-hour registration requirement, but there will be 10 slips available at the meeting. Should something come up or somebody not be able to register online, there'll be 10 slips available for in-person speaking.
so you're saying put the 36-hour rule first at the beginning of,
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
That's my mistake. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that way it's clear that our
Right there, it's right there.
So it's a compromise. We're trying to get more people to register for 36 hours in advance.
since,
but we still give availability for
Right.
10
That's
chances
exactly
to
right.
speak
Okay.
in person. Cause
You get a
like I
phone?
said, we don't usually get more than 10 people.
Right, we
So
do.
Right.
10 that would be a compromise, and should anything come up, then Cynthia as the chair has the executive decision to allow more people to speak, or how she wants to handle it going
Right.
forward.
So
But at
let,
least this is a compromise that I think should make everybody happy.
so like, can I read it?
Yeah, go
Because
ahead.
we seem to pick up stuff as we read it, so
Right.
let me read it. So, for full board meetings, each person wishing to speak at the gallery shall complete a registration slip, which will be kept on file at the community board office at least 36 hours in advance of the meeting. The slip shall include blah, blah, blah. Okay, completion of the slip obligates the speaker to comply with section 12 of the bylaws, community board's conduct statement. There will be 10 registration slips available for in-person speakers, which must be filled out prior to the start of the meeting. Nice.
Yeah, I think we need to do should we add in Jeremy the way it is?
So the last sentence should be modified slightly, saying that there will be 10 registration slips available for people unaware of the 36-hour registration requirement. They may fill out the slip prior to the start.
No, I don't think.
Nah,
that make sense?
that's just,
Nah.
no.
That's what we
It's
mean
too
though,
much.
right?
Yeah,
Well,
but that's,
I understand.
It could be something that they came up and they think they need to bring to the board,
Right.
that came up an hour before, so it's not necessarily that they don't know about the registration. It's just that
For
there's
those
10
unable.
registration slips,
Right, they're
Yeah,
unable,
right,
unable.
they're unable
it's,
to.
don't make the emphasis
Phone
sound
call.
like they don't know what's
Right,
really
yeah.
going on.
Okay. All right. So then anybody can slide. Okay.
Right,
All right. So this is the exception.
what exception?
The wording needs to be tweaked, but yeah.
No, I think it's.
So for full board meetings, gallery session speakers, or each person wishing to speak in a gallery shall complete,
A registration.
registration slip.
Which shall be kept on file at the community board office at least 36 hours in advance of the meeting. The slip shall include the speaker's name, organization, if any, and the subject matter they wish to address. Completion of the slip obligates the speaker to comply with section 12 of these bylaws,
Oh, I get what he's saying.
community
The
board's
exception
conduct
would
statement.
be-
The exception will be 10 registration slips available
Yeah. I'm
and speakers.
I know, you have,
this is an exception, right? This 10 slips is an exception, right?
yes. I guess, yeah.
So that's how I'm trying to word it.
Oh,
I don't know
see.
why we have to put in, well,
The exception to the 36 hours will be the availability of 10 registration slips. No,
no,
no.
No. Again, I'm trying to type. You're able to talk faster than I can type. The exception to the 36-hour registration requirement
there will be
will be
10
limited to
registration.
will be limited to 10 slips available for in-person speakers. Which-
Okay, that's fair.
Does that make sense?
That's fair.
It doesn't say that the chair can.
Here, the exception of the 36-hour registration requirement. 10 registration slips will be available for in-person speakers.
Which
Must be filled out prior to the
Where does it say that
And
the
then we
chair
put-
has the?
yeah.
Can override it? Can make it 11 or 12.
All right,
And we could
if
say something
necessary,
to the point, it will be up to the chair's discretion for any additional in-person speakers.
right,
to be
if
allowed.
necessary.
Okay,
The chair has the discretion.
the chair.
But so that means we got to print more than 10. I mean, we should always print more than 10, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
More than 10.
yeah,
But maybe we should talk more about how many more slips he should print. We should talk more about that. We should know exactly how many pieces of paper he should.
Well, that's why I said.
What color, what color?
All right, that was sarcasm. We're getting sarcasm.
Okay, and, no,
That's why I said number them.
Okay, yes, fine.
no one chose this. What do you think wrote all this stuff?
all right, so so Jeremy, just the last line, I think we all agree should just be a note about the chair's discretion to allow any additional in-person speakers.
Right. The chair has the discretion to allow for additional speakers.
Do we want,
The
Okay.
chair of the
No-
board
no
has
limit
the
though, right?
discretion.
What happened?
no limit on the number
Yeah,
thereafter?
Just to allow
Discretion is
additional
I.
speakers, and it'll be up to her.
Discretion is DI.
DISCRE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Discretion.
We could always
Is it?
get Siri, Siri.
All right, Jeremy, what were you trying to say?
Allow, it's,
I know because I know Cynthia's kind of like me in and out of the meeting. Did she opine on this part yet? Did you hear about this part, Cynthia?
I think
They're
she shook
talking
her
about
head,
this.
but
No,
Cynthia,
I was,
Something?
the last few minutes, I was in a bad, reception spot.
sorry. So the last part of the section would say basically, after we say that there's gonna be 10 slips available, that the chair of the board has the discretion to allow additional in-person speakers. Are you okay with that addition to it?
That's fine.
as they see,
Okay, just period after speakers.
no, just period.
Yeah.
Jeremy,
Okay, so
anything else?
Boom.
is that fine then?
That's good. I like it.
Or the board
What would you
chair,
put after it?
It was putting out.
Well, I was just gonna say as needed or as, well, then
That's
so
what-
at discretion,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, the chair of the board has the discretion. You just need to put the.
to
word
allow
to
additional.
in-person speakers.
Okay. So basically, that's the wording, but we
Right.
already,
Yeah, I just don't, I mean, I see what you're saying about putting as needed or,
Yeah, that's fine. So I'll just make sure we print like 15 slips. Well, we print them off in threes.
okay.
So I'll have, Yeah, I'll have
Always
them up.
write them out by
Pages of
hand.
3.
We can also write them out by hand. It's funny.
Yeah.
that's,
For the whole board.
12 or 15 we'll have every night.
But I think this.
All right. Okay.
So we don't have to make another motion. We already, that was the spirit of the motion, right?
so let's just make it official.
Right,
I make a motion that we change. Jeremy, don't move your thing. I need to see what you're saying so I can make the motion. So what is it, Article 6, Section 13 of the bylaws to read Part B, for full board meetings, each person wishing to speak in the gallery shall complete a registration, which shall be kept, registration slip, which shall be kept on file at the community board office at least 36 hours in advance of the meeting. The slip shall include the speaker's name, organization, if any, and the subject matter they wish to address. Completion of the slip obligates the speaker to comply with Section 12 of these bylaws, the community board's conduct statement. The exception to the 36-hour registration requirement will be limited to 10 paper slips available for in-person speakers, which must be filled out prior to start of the meeting. The chair of the board has the discretion to allow additional in-person speakers. That is how it will read. That is the official motion.
I seconded.
Okay, any objections?
I'm just gonna say versus filled out completed, to stay with the language of the whole paragraph.
That's
all right.
fine. Okay, with that amendment, which must be completed, take out, which must be completed prior to the start of the meeting. So I make the motion, Sandy second it,
And Joanne agreed. There were no
objections?
no objections,
No,
no,
Okay, it passes unanimously.
right.
All right.
Now back
That's the-
to,
Back to.
Spell check is suggesting we say the word right versus discretion, for what it's worth.
Just
I still
revisit.
think I think discretion is fine.
Right,
Yeah, all right,
That's-
just letting you know.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, now we have the other.
the other one
Yeah,
about combining.
so we discussed it. Thank you for coming, Ronnie.
Oh,
I know,
thank
that's
you.
what you say. Everybody's getting a present on.
Oh,
Oh, it what? You're gonna bring us cannoli.
the gate's down, hun.
Anything can happen.
Stay home safe, hon.
I'm a poll watcher at Villa Maria.
Oh,
Oh,
good luck
Where
with
the
that.
heck am I staying from?
Okay, so now, the last motion is regarding the,
Go along with it.
the
There's
combination.
actually there's three other motions.
There's 3 other motions?
3,
So, see if you can see my screen still.
Oh, we want the
So
one
remember, the
taking out.
suggestion was to modify the number of questions in total time. Or not number of questions, but total time for
Oh,
the
yes,
question
okay.
period for speakers.
So we made the motion on section B.
A total.
So the
Mr.
next
Chair, of
motion will
up to
be-
10 speakers.
Yeah.
Well, that's done.
Right.
No, but we didn't make a motion on it.
No, on A, we didn't make a motion.
Right.
Right, so, want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay, the motion is, each gallery session speaker at full board meeting shall receive an initial 2 minutes of uninterrupted speaking time. Thereafter, they may respond to at most 4 questions or comments from board members. The question and answer period may not surpass 4 minutes, leading to a total time restriction of 6 minutes per speaker. Further speaking time must be approved by a majority vote of the community board. Okay, that's the motion.
So
Anybody
that's-
second?
A
I-
second.
Okay,
And I agree.
any abstentions?
Any rejection?
Objections? No. Then the motion
The motion
passes
passes.
unanimously.
Okay, so that was A. We already did
And then
B,
C here.
Oh.
C.
and now C,
Gonna do
let me
this.
scroll down a little bit.
I'm doing this, it's just so.
C is
C
also,
would be an addition. So currently, there's not this section.
okay,
I mean, there is a section C, but it's handled, you already merged B and C.
right.
So
Right.
this would be a new C.
Just eliminate it
Well,
because the slips are going to be numbered. And the first people to speak are being the ones that registered in advance, plus the 10
so you don't
speakers who
need
signed
that.
up.
You don't need.
You don't need that. All we need is that.
I think we do.
Well,
And it was a proposal, and you guys did agree to it.
yeah, I think
Because-
it's a simple addition. I think we could.
All right.
Only because somebody might say,
Oh,
oh, I want to
yeah.
go first, but they were
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fifth one to register.
Right,
That's why I said I wanted the slips numbered as they were being filled out.
right.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah,
5.
But this is fine.
Right.
This is
Okay.
fine.
All right, so I make a motion that we make the addition of section C for
The
Uh,
Bible.
Article 6, Section 13, to say all speakers shall be called upon in order in which they register.
I second.
Any objection?
Nope.
Any
No.
abstention? Okay, passed unanimously. Okay.
So the other one is the combining of
Okay.
taking out the word disciplinary from ethics and combining the ethics and bylaws.
Right.
Okay, you want to make that motion?
Alrighty, I make a motion that we take out the word from ethics, ethics and discretion and discipline committee to ethics committee and combine the ethics and bylaws committee.
I second it.
Okay,
Any
no objections.
Any abstentions?
No.
Okay, passed unanimously.
So, hold on. So it's Article 5, Section 1, and also the description in back.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
we-
that,
We didn't do the standing thing yet. We didn't do that.
So the only, look, you just put ethics in, it's really ethics description. The only thing that would be new here, Would be-
Whatever it is, it's a blur.
hold on, it's coming.
can you see it, the screen?
Yeah, we can see. it.
Yeah.
So this would be the addition to initiate review of bylaw amendments which have been proposed in accordance with Article 9 of these bylaws, which is the amendment section. And then the rest of it pertains to ethics as prior.
Oh, so this has to be, this is another.
Right, so we're just
Okay.
changing what the ethics and bylaws committee will do.
So we have to make a motion.
All right, you can make
Bylaws,
those.
okay. All right, so motion is for bylaws, the new bylaws and ethics committee. that will be to initiate review of bylaw amendments which have been proposed in accordance with Article 9 of these bylaws and complaints lodged by board members, members of the public, agency personnel, and non-union employees of the community board against Community Board 11, its individual members and/or staff. Alleged violations of the city's EEO policy shall be addressed by the EEO officer of the Bronx Borough President's Office in accordance with the city's EEO policies and procedure. If the community board cannot review a complaint due to conflict of interest of the committee after due deliberation is unable to come to a reasonable resolution of the merits of the complaint, shall be referred to the Bronx Borough President's Office for review. Anybody second that?
I second it.
Okay.
Sandy,
And
objections?
objections, any objections? Any abstentions? No.
Okay.
Motion passed.
Motion passes. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Is there anything else?
No, I need back the one that I had. The one that I
Listen.
gave, yeah, all right. All right, thank you. That's right.
Okay,
So
right.
Jeremy, if I could just request that you have copies of these changes available at the meeting for anyone who says they don't know what the changes are, so they can read them and they know.
Yeah, I'll send out an email too.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I
Appreciate that.
think you could put all of
We've been having copies. I'll have at least 5 copies available. It takes them, but I'll have them.
Okay,
and it could also just be on one sheet of paper, all of the changes.
no, that's extra. I think.
Yeah, I could do that too.
You could do that, all right.
I think, you
Yeah.
know, because there are people
Yeah,
who say, I didn't see it,
You know,
or I didn't know to click on the blue, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
okay.
Yeah, it would save trees. Yep.
Okay.
You know,
perfect,
so
thank
it's
you.
just covering all the bases.
Okay. Oof, okay, I think we're
And-
good.
Old business, new business?
No, oh, no.
Yeah.
We've covered it all, I think, for the remainder of the year.
And if I may, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay,
Okay.
David, thank you.
time is
Thank you,
8:09. Thank you, everyone.
Night, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Good night,
you.
Jeremy. Thank you. Cynthia, thank you. Good night.
9.